Good afternoon and welcome to the Happy Half Hour. I'm Leigh Kubin, Master Certified Life Coach and Weight Loss Coach.
I'm Sandra Priestley, Leadership Coach for Female Entrepreneurs and a Feng Shui practitioner. So Leigh, I'm just getting over my illness. So I am drinking green tea with jasmine in it. And what are you drinking?
I'm living on the edge today and I'm drinking some lemon water again. I figure,
nice.
We can cleanse our bodies and
we can have tea and water and sit at the bar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Sometimes we need a glass of water at the bar.
Sometimes. Okay. I'm so excited to have this chat today. You have a new book you're reading.
Yes. Brandon Burchard, High Performance Habits.
Mm-hmm.
So good. He's just motivating and kind of getting the vortex when you're there with him. But man, it has really pointed out to me how sometimes I don't say, I want this. I'm more the feeling, I want the comfort and I want to be, to not worry and to be satisfied, and all of these things that aren't really getting me now I've done fine, but have I really created the way I could have if I were more deliberate?
Like when you're setting goals, you mean? You're setting a goal.
Maybe it's that I'm not setting. There are times that I'm like, I have to have that. I've got to create that. I've got and I will find a way and do it. Mm-hmm. But like even growing my business, it's more about if I'm just in the vortex, everything will come to me instead of identifying what I want to walk in my door. And so I did not realize how not specific that I have been, because I'm in this weird place where I take things that Abraham says, and it's like, get in the vortex, feel the feeling, feel as if it were there. But my problem is, and I think where maybe the disconnect is that Abraham is saying, you get in your body and you feel like you're at the weight you want. You've got the person you want, or you've got the money or whatever it is that you want, and you feel that. Well, I'm looking at how I would feel if I had maybe everything that I want. Right. And I feel guilty even saying that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm so blessed. So and I don't know if that's it, if that's what has stopped me, but I have to get more specific about really what I want. Mm-hmm. What I want to create.
One of the things that I love that one of my mentors, Melanie Ann Lair, says is that we have to have one foot in gratitude and another foot in desire. And that's sort of the constant walk of manifesting the dream life. And I really like that because we get so, we spend so much time in gratitude, we almost feel guilty for wanting more, or we spend so much time in desire that we feel guilty for not feeling good about the things that we have. Mm-hmm. And then whenever we attach a feeling that is like guilt, we're not in a manifesting vortex at all. We're not going to be anywhere closer to achieving our goals at all, right? And so I love this idea of like it being so wonderful to have one foot in gratitude and one foot in desire and still constantly moving between those two. And I think
that is a really beautiful way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
That makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm. And I think that people really struggle in general. I know I did, with how do I want more and still appreciate what I have? How do I want, if we think about weight loss, how do I want to hit my goal weight and then not feel bad about my body, right? But if I can feel good where I'm at and also want to improve in some way, dance between those two, I kind of like that. But tell me more about this book.
It is how do I, it's just a motivational, get off your ass, decide what you want, and go do it.
Oh, I love it.
And, you know, when I'm doing things at work, and I'm like busy work, in and out of the office kind of stuff, when I'm not with patients, I'll have my earbuds in, and it's just going. And it's interesting how productive I am while I'm there when I'm listening to that. I'll get texts from people going, I need to come see you. It's like it's back in my schedule when I'm in that place. And because I know as I'm listening and I'm at work thinking what I'm wanting to create in that space, that's what's showing up.
Well, and you can hear it probably in this like law of inspired action kind of, right? Like you're already listening to someone who wants you to take action towards your goals in some way. And let's face it, right now, I think in the online space, a lot of people are talking about like just sitting back and surrendering and, you know, surrendering to the universe and allowing it all to come to you, which is great, but you also have to actually like take some action. You know, one of the things that I always say is like, you know, it's wonderful to want to have $1 million business, but you have to actually have a business. You know, you have to take action to have the business in order to have $1 million business. And sometimes it gets a little bit too much lean in and surrender and not taking action towards actually achieving it, right? So maybe he's kind of inspiring that action out of you, and then the universe responds.
For sure. Well, and on that note, when I'm talking with my patients, and they might have a big journey in front of them, you know, we're talking about feeling it.
Right.
Feeling as though you're already there. And then pretend you're there, and you get up and you go into the kitchen for breakfast in the morning. What are you eating? What is that person at that goal weight eating? And then what does that person do for exercise or for hobbies? What's that person's habits? So that when they go through their day, they're thinking as they're reaching for the whatever that isn't the best for them. Is that what I would be eating if I were over here?
Yeah.
If I eat this, I'm going to stay over here. If I don't, I'm going to get over here. Just a game. But it's not that different than if you want $1 million business, you get up and you go, well, man, if I had $1 million business, what would I be doing right now?
Exactly.
Probably wouldn't be binging on Netflix. I would probably be taking care of my body and making sure it had exercise. And I would be doing things to build a business, because even after it's built, there's still momentum that has to be kept up.
Right. No different than why I wear my SJP shoes every single time I do this podcast, right? Or every single time I do a training, I put the shoes on because it's the next level version of me. And somehow they're like, I call it the big shoe energy, but it's like, it's the truth, right? Because if we can literally step into that next level version of ourselves, and we can spend more time doing that.
Those shoes, when you say it like that, I'm stepping into, I mean, you are literally stepping in.
Yeah. And I mean, my dream is to stand on stage in front of thousands in my shoes. And so every single time, every single podcast, every single training, it doesn't really matter how many people are listening. I mean, I hope it's thousands, but it doesn't matter to me how many people are listening. I want to show up in that shoe energy. And I think there's something magical about it.
Yeah.
There's just something magical about like that trigger, right? It's like the healthy trigger, that that allows us to step into that next level version of ourselves.
Oh, I
I
love
think
it.
they make me smarter.
Man, I don't, it would be fun to wear some shoes like that to work, but they wouldn't go with my scrubs.
You new fashion statement.
I guess I could do it when I work from home with my Zoom clients.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that would be cool. I just did a video this morning where, in feng shui, we talk about like having that morning anchor, that one thing beside our bed. And I just talked about this too, about like having, like placing something, deciding what your goal is, deciding what the big vision is that you want to achieve, and then placing it in your space so that when you wake up in the morning, you see it and it brings you that vision. You have the visualization and the frequency and the feeling of what it is that you want to achieve.
Yep.
Instead,
gives you perspective for the day.
Totally. Instead, what we tend to do is me anyway, I mean, I have this habit of, I've got my alarm on my phone. So it's right next to my bed where it should not be, but that's where it is. And I reach over and I hit stop. And as soon as I wake up, what do? I open my phone and I'm scrolling through Instagram, I'm scrolling through Facebook, I'm looking at my notifications. And I stopped doing that because what happens is I wake up in the morning and I'm in everyone else's fucking energy. Instead, I want to wake up and be in the energy of my own desires, my own gratitude and desires. One foot in gratitude, one foot in desire, both feet in my shoes. But I want to spend more time visualizing where I want to go and what do I want to achieve, my big dreams, than scrolling in someone else's frequency.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important, especially just wake up in the morning to something beautiful. I think it's so hugely powerful, especially when you've placed it there with intention to have that frequency of your goals, right?
Well, and the first thing you see in the morning when you wake up gives you perspective for the day.
Exactly.
So the more specific we can be about what we want to create, and let that be the first thing we look at in the morning. What a day and a week and a month and a life we can create.
Exactly. And sometimes we put things in our space that, they seem visually appealing, but they don't really mean anything to us, right? But if we can take something beautiful and make it represent a goal we have, and then we look at it intentionally every morning and like sink into that feeling of what it would be like when we have it. Like what an amazing way to start your day.
Yeah. And it's interesting you bring up the stuff that we have in our space that doesn't really mean anything. So, we're painting. And we had done the wealth area, I guess, when I talked to you last. And of course, you go in there and it's so beautiful and clean and it feels good. And then I walk out here and I'm like, shit, I got to paint. And, but I am one of those, like, I'm all in. So I start something and I'm like, God, I finish it. So, I'm sick in bed all day Saturday. I guess we recorded our show on Friday. And then Saturday, I was out. But by Sunday morning, I woke up and I'm like, baby, I feel good. And he's like, well, let's have breakfast. So we got up and had breakfast. And then I'm like, do you want to paint the hallway? So we painted the hallway. He's such a good sport. He's just like, sure, whatever. But we painted the hallway. And in the process, we took all the artwork off the walls, everything up, like off the big top shelf. I've got shit everywhere because everything means something and someone gives me something and got to hang on to it.
Yeah.
So I started cleaning stuff out, and I decided, why am I holding on to all this shit? Like, I will offer it to my daughter and daughter-in-law, and of course they didn't want it. They're like, okay. And so I cleaned it all up, and I'm going to box it up. And we've got a thrift store up the street that's a nonprofit, and they have so much fun selling stuff, especially when they get cute stuff in. And I thought, I'll just take it up there and let them sell it. And I'm doing something good with it. I don't need it. It's out of my space. God, it feels so good.
Doesn't it?
Release.
Oh, I know.
You know, it's like, and so I think in each area, as we go through and paint and kind of redecorate, I mean, we're moving pictures around. I have some new pictures in the bedroom that I ordered, but for the most part, we're just moving things around, mix it up a little bit. So it's not that we have to go get new stuff, but just get rid of the stuff that is not serving us.
Yeah.
And let it go.
It just feels so good to get rid of some of the old energy, the things that we have outgrown, or the things that don't represent where we want to go in life, you know?
And isn't it interesting when we do that and we let go of this, like, I am not going in this direction anymore. I don't need that. Or, you know, we just clear things out. I don't really like that. And it's not bad. I just don't want it in my space anymore. But in turn, it manifests like that in our life, where things, places that we don't need to, we've outgrown that. We're able to walk away from. And then opportunities. You know, when we set up, you know, to clear things out, to allow new stuff to come in, it blows me away.
I know. It's
how do we ever forget to do this stuff? Like, we know this.
I know. I've done the exact same thing. I've been working with a client, or even talking with a friend, and I'm saying, okay, well, you know, let's look to your space. And then I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, man, I have these goals and I'm struggling to hit them. What's going on? Oh, Sandra, look to your space. What are you holding on to? Like, what are you waking up to? Where are your goals represented here? Like, what are you doing? Get your shit together. You know, it's like, it's so funny because it's right in front of you. And, you know, but yeah, it feels so amazing. I'm going through my house right now, every single section, similarly, really to what you're doing. And just going through and determining every single section of my home, and using the Bagua map, so I know, you know, what area of my home represents wealth and what area of my home represents family, and so going through each section and going, okay, what is it that I want to create in this section of my life? And it's just been so fun. It's been so long since I've done this, really, because typically I have a goal and then I go to the different areas of my home and only focus on those. You know, so if my goal is my business, let's say business growth, I might go to a few sections, but I'm not necessarily looking at family and ancestors, even though the family and ancestors area has an impact on, you know, my belief system too, right? So it's been, so fun when you just do the whole space and just let go of everything that no longer serves you, that you've outgrown or that you want to outgrow even, right?
For sure. Well, I haven't done this house. Like, I mean, when we moved in, of course I did. And then I think we painted and kind of remodeled, and I did. But I haven't, excuse me, I haven't in, I want to say 10 years, like, gotten very specific about things in the house. So for 10 years, it's kind of the same, but things might have changed a little bit. but a bunch of fucking stagnant energy. And
Totally.
I was looking at myself recently, and I don't know if it was a week ago or a month ago, but it has been recent. And I was just really asking, like, what happened to you? You used to be who you were. You were, you know, you didn't shy away. You didn't keep quiet. You didn't. And I've noticed that over the years, I've gotten more, button up, so-and-so's here, this person's watching, instead of just being authentically who I am. And so that's just got me thinking, what has changed? Well, what's changed is that nothing's changed in this house. And I think I got stuck. And I think now, getting ready to turn 50 and the excitement of that, because I'm like, what is coming? I haven't felt excited since I was turning 30. It feels like the same, because the 30s were awesome. And I think I was ready to get out of the 20s, because 20s not so much. But I had hope for the 30s. And so I'm sort of in that place now with the 50s, but the home and doing what I'm doing. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. 50 was fun.
Well, you're still 50.
I just turned
In October?
October 21, yeah. So, but it I don't know. There's something magical about the number. It feels fun.
Yeah.
It just feels fun. Or maybe it's because Oprah, I think one time Oprah said 50 was amazing. It was, I remember, but I don't know, I had it always in my mind that 50 was this big, amazing number where you step into who you are. Like, it's like this rebirth and you become who you always were authentically meant to be. Yeah. And I see that so often with other female entrepreneurs who turn 50. It's like, it's this magical number. Wow. I love it.
I'm excited to see what it creates.
Oh, yeah. And even just, I don't know, for me, like we've been looking around our house too, at just some of the things that we want to shift and some of the things that we want to change. It just does bring such an amazing energy to you when you can just refresh and change curtains even, or just move things around. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, that one feng shui cure, the 27 things cure. Do you remember that one where you
if I want to mix things up, I will move 27 things.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Move 27 things and it gets you unstuck.
Yeah.
And I swear that, it seems like it doesn't make logical sense, but I'm telling you, every single time I move 27 things, even if it's just moving one thing to another, it gives me a fresh perspective on the item. It's truly, it's like consciously and subconsciously, you have a new perspective on life. And when you can think differently, you can interact differently.
Yes. And maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what it is, because when things are moved around, it shocks you a little bit, especially when you're used to them being in the same place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think maybe that's it. But I know that is one thing that I have not stopped doing over the years. Anytime I do get to that place where I'm like, man, I'm stuck. Like, I got to get out of this. I don't know what this is. I'm like 27 things.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just fun to, I think, move things around. Like, I've had this one crystal, and I moved that as part of my 27 things. And I literally moved it from one side of my ensuite to another side. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it the one day after I'd moved it, and I thought, wow, that crystal's really beautiful. Oh. And I had not noticed how beautiful the crystal was since, for years, because it sat in the same exact spot. And your subconscious mind just starts to look at it like it's a part of the wall or part of the furniture, right? You don't notice how beautiful. And I moved it and I went, wow, look at how the light hits that crystal. It is gorgeous. And I realized how I'd taken it for granted for those several years, right? Like everything is like that. When we move it, we just get a different perspective of it, and a new appreciation.
Right.
Then we're back into gratitude and desire.
That's where it's all at.
Yeah.
Real quick, we've only got a few minutes left, but talking about gratitude and desire, Gabby's manifestation challenge. Oh my gosh, the appreciation game.
Yeah.
So much fun. I mean, it was so fun to just sit and be able to list things out and not have to go, what, you know, or I have 3 things that I'm thankful for. I mean, it was just nice to be able to just write like it without stopping and then stop and go, you have so much to be grateful for. And then in this thing, you still have desire, and that's okay too.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, because you know, how many times do they say, write 3 things, or write 5 things that you're grateful for every day. And when you do that, it's like, oh, I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my husband. I'm grateful for my plants, you know?
Yeah, she wanted 10. So, but yeah, but the challenge is awesome. The meditations are amazing.
Yes.
You know, she's talking about trying to control the outcome, which, you know, brought things up for me is, you know, same thing with the Brendan stuff. But I don't know, I'm grateful for this because this gives me a place in the morning to start my day from, to set me off in the right direction and create what I want and be specific about that. It's so vague. And I'm a little nervous and also very excited to think about getting as specific as I'm about to get and having to admit really what I want, you know, because then there's that fear. Of course, then I've got to look at what's that fear about.
Yeah.
Sandra, it's so much work all the time.
I know. So fun.
So much fun. Well, I guess it is just about time for us to wrap up. Thank you. This was a good show. I'm so excited.
I know.
To talk next week, because at that point, our journey area will be painted.
Oh, yes. Oh, I can't wait.
Fun time.
We'll have to talk about paint and the energy of our space, and we have so much more. We have so much more planned. I can't wait.
I know. We'll have to set the talk. Yeah, between our houses.
I know.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week on the Happy Half Hour. Bye.
Bye.